Hi, everyone, and welcome to Fine-Tuning LLMs with PyTorch 2.0 and ChatGPT. My name is Greg Loughnane, and I'm the Director of Product at FourthBrain. We appreciate you taking the time to join us for this event. We're so glad to see you tuning in from all over the world. If it's late for you, thank you for staying up to join us. During our event today, you'll learn how easy it is to use PyTorch 2.0 to speed up fine-tuning of large language models so that you can build powerful generative AI applications faster. You'll also learn how you can generate synthetic fine-tuning data using ChatGPT. Next, you'll learn how you can speed up fine-tuning even more by selectively and efficiently training fewer parameters within these LLMs while still producing great results. In short, we're going to learn how to build AI with the latest and greatest in AI. Let's get into it. If you hear anything during our event that prompts a question you'd like to ask, please follow the Slido link in the description box on the YouTube page. If you're just listening, check out the link to see questions others have already asked and upvote your favorites. We'll do our best to answer all of the most upvoted questions during the Q&A portion of today's event. And without further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome our speaker today to the stage. Joe Papa is the CEO of TruVersity, a three-time author of books on AI, including O'Reilly's PyTorch Pocket Reference, Fundamentals of Deep Learning, and his newest book, The Secrets of Business AI. Joe has spearheaded R&D projects and led AI teams at organizations like Verizon Wireless, Bell Labs, Booz Allen, and the U.S. Army. Joe is the founder of two companies, TruVersity, a leader in AI education and consulting, and Mobile Insights, a government AI engineering firm. Joe has been featured on the cover of Brains magazine and has worked with Kevin Harrington, the original shark on Shark Tank. He's taught tens of thousands of developers and business leaders with O'Reilly, Udemy, Anaconda, and Packet Publishing. Joe lives in New Jersey with his wife and 4 kids. Joe, off to you, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you, Greg. Hello, everybody. I'm super excited to be here with you today. Man, do we have some super cool stuff to talk about. I can tell you, I teach thousands of people worldwide. I work with Fortune 100 companies, and the number one question I always get asked is, Joe, what should we be learning right now to keep up with the pace of what's going on in AI? This is such an exciting time. I mean, just look at the news every day. I mean, I'm thinking about just yesterday, Meta made a super announcement about AI and how Mark Zuckerberg thinks that this is the ticket. This is the focus of the company. Every day, new news is coming out. So I'm going to jump into the slide deck here. Awesome. And what I'm excited about today is I get the number one question people ask: what should I be learning, Joe? So we're going to talk about the 3 most powerful skills in deep learning. Who's ready to learn something powerful, a new powerful skill? If you're ready to learn a new powerful skill, type the word powerful into the chat. Today we are going to talk about 3 different topics. And if it's okay with you, my teaching style is a little bit different. I don't like to talk at you. I like to talk with you. So if it's okay that I ask you to write things in the chat, just give me an okay in the chat and we'll go ahead that way. But I want to connect with all of you. This is a super opportunity that we're all here together today. The 3 topics that we're going to learn are: number 1, PyTorch 2.0. This is something that was just released in March. The stable version was just released in March of 2023. We're also going to be talking about how to use it and how to fine-tune large language models, right? With the explosion of interest in large language models due to ChatGPT coming out this is such a hot topic right now. And then finally, we're going to tie it all together by using AI tools to build AI ourselves. How cool is this going to be? If you think this is super exciting, type exciting in the chat. Let me know, out of these three things, what is the most exciting part for you? Which one of these three things is the most exciting for you to learn? Now, also, I want to let you know that this is going to be very technical. We're going to get deep at times, but I feel like all of you here at this event today are ready for that. So if you're ready to get your hands dirty and talk about some deep technical stuff in AI, write technical in the chat, and we're going to be ready to go. Go to the next slide. So I want to let you know that I'm just not some guy off the streets that's just coming in here and trying to teach you like the latest that you heard. I want to let you know that I've been doing research and development, leading teams for the past 25 years. Like Greg had mentioned, some of the Fortune 500 companies that I work for. I'm also an author. I have 3 published books, and we released the PyTorch Pocket Reference and some other books. Spin and Brains magazine works with some really cool people and cool companies. But I want to take this opportunity to connect with you, each and every one of you on this presentation today. And I think this, like when I think about it, this is such an amazing world that we live in, where deep learning AI and FourthBrain and O'Reilly can bring us all together today. And we can use a tool like LinkedIn to connect. So if you're using LinkedIn, type LinkedIn into the chat, and I want you to go on there and I want you to connect with me. Okay, because I want to be able to share information with you. I want you to reach out to me and tell me what you're excited about, what you do. Now, I know we have over 20,000 people registered for this event, but I want you to know that I go there and I spend a lot of time replying to comments and getting to know people. So please connect with me there. I want to give you a fun fact, and I want you to share a fun fact about yourself as well when you go on LinkedIn and connect with me. But here's a fun fact about me is I started my career in the 90s. And I went, one of the first jobs I had was to work at Bell Labs in Homedale, New Jersey. And we were developing some really cool technology there. It wasn't until years later that I found out that on the same floor, on the other side of the building, was Jan LeCun. Right, Jan LeCun. If you know Jan LeCun, type in Jan into the chat bar if you know who he is. He's kind of the head. I think of him as like the head of AI at Meta, Facebook, and he's also done phenomenal work in convolutional neural networks and so much work. He actually was also on a FourthBrain deep learning recent event with Andrew Ng the other day. What was it, last week or something, where they talked about the 6-month pause. Definitely go check out that video. So he was working across the building, and I come to find this out. It's just an amazing story that he was there. So you never know who you're going to be near. Always go out there and try to meet people. You know, have coffee, no matter what organization you're in or whether you work from home. Doing things and connect with people. This is about connecting as much as it is about learning. Okay. So let's jump into the technical details. I'm going to go fast here now. So if you're ready, type ready in the chat. And I want you to kind of take this imaginary seatbelt, strap yourself in, because we're going to rock and roll. We only have an hour, and we're going to cover a lot of information. All right, let's first talk about PyTorch 2.0. If you haven't heard about PyTorch, it is the #1 or top between PyTorch and TensorFlow. They're both very, very good frameworks for deep learning. But I would say PyTorch is the top, one of the top 2 frameworks for developing deep learning algorithms, applications, models. And it's been around since 2017, 2018. All right, this is the top framework. There's been a major breakthrough this year in PyTorch 2.0, where they released a feature that enables you to train neural networks, especially large language models, so much faster using hardware acceleration. Being able to take advantage of optimizing code underneath the hood so that it could run on GPUs faster was a huge breakthrough. Now, here's the most amazing part of it, is that you can do this with your existing PyTorch code by just adding one line. And you can see on this slide, before PyTorch 2.0, here's kind of the basic form that we do, where you import the libraries, Torch, Torch Vision, then you create a model. Well, after PyTorch 2.0, you use a simple function, torch.compile, to convert your model to an optimized way. So this is a major breakthrough, because from an implementation point of view, PyTorch has succeeded historically because it's so easy to use. This makes it very, very simple. Okay, so one line of code, you get all these acceleration benefits. Underneath the hood is where all the magic happens, okay? This is where things get done. So there's a number of different new modules in PyTorch 2.0 that are enabling this to happen. So I want you to get a sense of appreciation, but as a developer, you don't necessarily need to know all this. If you look at the graph, and you can check out the PyTorch site to learn more, you'll see that essentially what they're doing is they're taking the structure of a neural network and modifying it to something that we can easily understand, into something that a GPU can easily understand. And that conversion, through using Torch Dynamo and AOT Autograd and Prime IR, those capabilities are doing all the work for us. So that's the appreciation of what's going on there. Now you may ask, why would I need to know this? Well, this is one of the beautiful things about all the topics that we talk about, and that is that this is all new and exciting. These three topics weren't even really much of a thought 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago. These are all new things that are coming out, so they might not work perfectly. You may need to understand how it works under the hood so that you can fix it if it's not working for your application. If this makes sense to you, type in "makes sense" in the chat bar, right? Think of it this way. You can learn how to drive a car, but if something goes wrong, you might have to fix it. So it helps to understand the basics of how a car works, to understand that. Okay. We're going to run through a PyTorch 2.0 example with ChatGPT and Bard right now, and this is cool. So, little funny meme here. No disrespect to Sundar Pichai, Mr. Pichai. Just a little joke here, and obviously no offense to his wife. That's not his wife either. But sometimes I wonder, what do these guys think about in bed at night? What do you think about in bed at night? What's keeping you up? And this is funny, a funny little meme I found here. But so what's keeping you up at night? Write that in the chat bar. I'd be interesting to hear what's keeping you up at night. Let's try what I want to do next is I want to be able to use AI tools like ChatGPT and Bard to write code super fast. All right. I code very quickly, but I don't type quickly. So even the added benefit of just typing things out is a phenomenal advantage. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to ChatGPT right now. And I want to execute this prompt here. So I'm going to tell it to write a PyTorch script that trains ResNet 101 with CFAR10 dataset for 3 epochs. I want it to use a batch size of 256 and an image size of 224 by 224. So let's see what ChatGPT comes up with. All right, look at this. Speed, people, speed. When you're developing, I want you to keep something in mind, that speed is important, right? Time is money is the old phrase. So speed is important. This is an important concept when developing code and just development in general. Let's take a look at the code that was produced by ChatGPT. Okay, so it kind of tells us here, cut off, I'm gonna make this a little bigger. It gives us a description of what it's doing, imports the libraries. These all look nice. If you're familiar with PyTorch, type PyTorch into the chat here so I know that we have some people familiar with PyTorch. If not, I'll just tell you this code looks really good. All right, we have a device. This is the way that we set devices in CUDA. We check to see if a GPU is available, and if it is, we use it. Here are transforms that we apply to our data sets, and there's values here that correspond to that. CFAR 10 data set. This is how we import it. We define data loaders. All this looks really, really nice. So in an instant, I mean seconds, we have an entire script where we load a data set, train it, instantiate a model, set up the loss function and the optimizers, and then execute our training loop. And this code looks beautiful. If this is impressive, write impressive. Okay, write impressive in the chat bar. Now, I know that there's a lot of people at different stages on this event. Some of you are just starting out. This code may look like gibberish to you, and that's cool. I totally get that. When I started out, I'd be like, holy cow, what is this? I don't understand this. You don't have to worry about that right now. What I want you to take away from this, if you're a beginner and you're just learning this PyTorch from the beginning, you have no experience with PyTorch, what I want you to understand is using AI tools like ChatGPT will also give you the ability to generate code that you can go and look at as sample code. And using prompts is much easier than going on the internet and Googling a bunch of things, trying tutorials that don't work. Here's a way that you can use code this way, and you can modify it. If I wanted to, for example, say use, let's type in something like use ResNet 50 instead, then it will just update the code to use ResNet 50. We can see it imports it here. Down here, we're probably instantiating it. Right? Is this fast or is this fast? Right? This is fast. So this is powerful. Let's see what Bard does. Okay, now, I want to go back to one thing because I did see a question going through the chat there. I'm using the default value of ChatGPT here. So I'm using the GPT 3.5 right now. And I actually like to do that because it's very fast. But I encourage you to go and try GPT-4. See what you get. Okay, so that's that. Let's take a look at Bard and what Bard does. All right, so we're going to enter the same script in Bard. And as we can see here, all right, awesome. So here, quickly, in seconds, we get a description here, we get code. All right, it's a little bit different. Okay, Bard here is actually using the correct version of some of these normalization values, mean and standard deviation. Don't worry about the details of the code. I can tell you this looks really good as well. Now, here's one thing I want to point out about Bard is because it's a Google product, they have an integration here where you can actually export this directly to a Colab notebook. Boom, like that you don't have to copy paste it. Boom, opens a notebook, you have the code, you can debug it, change things, etc. Very, very powerful. So if you think this is cool, write cool in the chat. I think it's phenomenal. This is a major breakthrough. So we talked about PyTorch 2.0, having the acceleration. That's a huge breakthrough. We have these tools like ChatGPT and Bard, huge breakthrough there. If you are somebody that likes to play with things, type in play in the chat, right? If you're somebody that likes to play with things, type play. I know that there's a lot of you that are hands-on. So we're going to include the link to this PyTorch 2.0 example here. And you can walk through this tutorial on your own. This is the code we're pulling in from the ChatGPT outputs, and we enter it here into this notebook. And we're going to add the PyTorch 2.0 feature to it and then be able to get some speed ups. All right, the first thing I want to point out is that you should check what GPU you're running. You want to execute this on a GPU. The notebook is already configured to use the GPU runtime. I am using Colab Plus here, so this is a paid version of Colab, Google Colab notebooks. I'm using the paid version, the middle version, which is like 20 bucks a month or something. Premium, you choose premium and you choose high RAM. Save that. I'm just going to cancel. But you want to make sure that you're getting this A100 GPU for PyTorch 2.0. If you don't want to use PyTorch 2.0, it's okay. Use what you want to use as long as your model does not exceed the memory limitations. Then you can exceed the memory limitations. Then you can run it. For ResNet 101, some of these larger models, you're going to need this bigger GPU. The tricky thing, a little annoying, but you may not get it. You may get the V100. You'll just have to wait until there's a time where Google will give you the A100. They may give you one or the other. So check that. Then you can go and execute the code, just like we've seen coming out of the ChatGPT and Bard tools. Execute here. And there is one place where I want to show you that you need to insert that one line of code so that you can use the PyTorch 2.0 acceleration. And that's right here. Once your model or network is instantiated, then you would add this line here where you're just passing in the model. You can call it something different and use it later. But this is where I want to point out that you change this. And you can go run this, experiment with different models, experiment with different data sizes, and see if PyTorch 2.0 is getting results for you. Okay, so, all right, so let's move on. That's something for you if you like to play around with things and you want to get your hands dirty, is you can jump on that link and start experimenting in the notebook here. Okay, so I'm going to move back to the slides. All right, so I'm just kind of peeking at the chat here, and I just want to point out, Esther, I see you, Carl, Marigan, you guys are like totally rocking out the chat. You are some of the most brightest people. Some of the comments here just blow me away. I know you're tracking. Stick with me. I know we get technical. We're gonna run into the next topic here. So before I go on, share a takeaway. What's a key takeaway that you have regarding PyTorch 2.0? What's something that you're thinking different about now? What's something, a breakthrough or something that you've experienced by listening to PyTorch 2.0 and what it can do for you? Okay, share that. Awesome. Okay, now we're going to move into the next section. Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's fine-tune a large language model. Now, I put this in the skills because you will see this everywhere. Business executives that I talk to, business owners, there's a huge interest right now on taking large language models and being able to train them with specific information, either from a company or from an organization, where they want to be able to use their own private proprietary information, put it into an LLM, and be able and give it to their users so that they can have a chat experience that is relevant to the topics and philosophies and knowledge in these organizations. So being able to fine tune an LLM is a very, very powerful skill to have. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to use this example called Better Call Bloom. Better Call Bloom is created by Thomas Rochefort Bedoin. Amazing guy. This is an amazing guy. I reached out to him on LinkedIn, and we were going back and forth, PhD student out of Canada. He put this tutorial together, and I highly encourage you to check out the Medium article on this. What he's doing here is he's taking a Bloom large language model with 3 billion parameters, And he's going to train that with a special data set called the pile of law. Now here, we're fine tuning this LLM so that we can ask it questions regarding law and get answers specific to that. So I'm going to switch over to that to the browser here and show you the actual Medium article. Okay, it's called "Training a Language Model to Give Non-Legal Advice." Right? This is not legal advice. One of the ethic areas of all this stuff is like we have to think about what we're doing, folks. But this is just a fun example. I think that people know that this is not true legal advice. And I'm a super fan of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, so this kind of resonated with me. If it resonates with you too, let me know. This is a example where he will build a notebook, and I'll show you in a minute how to take what he created, add PyTorch 2.0 to it, and accelerate the training significantly. So let's look through it. He's using the Bloom model. We talked about that. He's using the pile of law data set, and he's fine-tuning Bloom 3B. Let's take a look what it looks like in the notebook. So again, for your hands-on users that like to play around with things, our team here will drop the link in the chat somewhere so you can go ahead and execute this notebook on your own. Again, the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you're getting this A100 GPU, right? Which is only available if you get the Pro account. I know that, but we do want to be able to demonstrate this. I'll show you a way and an alternate way later where you could use some other GPU choices to get results as well. But this is one way. And then there's some special installations here. This is one thing to keep in mind with new, really cutting edge new tools like PyTorch 2.0 is that things are being added and updated and fixed all the time. Okay, so you might have to install a special version. We'll put that here, which version you need to install. And then here we'll install some of the libraries that you need to run this example. All right, this example uses Hugging Face. All right, if anybody here is a fan of Hugging Face or uses it, type Hugging Face in the chat. Hugging Face is amazing. It really enables us. I know that Deep Learning AI and FourthBrain, one of these events recently, were with some of the folks from Hugging Face demonstrating their capabilities. Definitely find that on YouTube or the sites and check those out. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use this transformers library to import this trainer, and we'll use this data sets library to load the data sets. Fortunately, the pile of law data set is available from Hugging Face, so there's nothing extra we need to do to access that. And then we have the Bloom models as part of those libraries as well. So there's nothing we have to create. We don't have to create a large language model. We can just use the ones that exist. Okay. All right, so that's here. You can go through it on your own. See, this is how you load the data set. You can print this out. This is how you load the models and so forth. Okay, so I want to show you, there's a couple things here. We're just kind of manipulating the data to get it in the right format. But I want to point out the important part. Here's the important part. When you define the training arguments, I'm going to show you how easy this is. This is incredible. This just blows my mind. When you define the training arguments, when you're going to train this large language model, or more specifically fine tune it, is all you need to do is add this one parameter that says torch compile equals true. And you get all the capabilities of PyTorch 2.0 and acceleration. Amazing or what? Super amazing. If you're excited about this as I am, I don't know, throw your hands in the air, do something, yell, scream, whatever it is. This to me blows my mind. And it blows my mind because it's so powerful in that even if you're a beginner, you'll get this, right? And I know that there's some beginners out there as well as some crazy experts that just know this like incredibly well. This is such an easy way to just be able to take care of the benefits here. All right, so you can go and run this on your own. I'm going to go back to the slides. Okay, so here we're just highlighting, it's just that one line that we need to add here in the training arguments for this Hugging Face example. And here's the results. So let's take a look at the results. The training time, if you look over there in the bottom left-hand corner, we're training over 3 epochs. For the unoptimized version, this took Thomas 26 hours to train. Now, don't get alarmed. There's ways to improve on that, all right? There's the GPU we're using is the A100. You can use more powerful GPUs on Hugging Face to speed up that time. But just to compare apples to apples, if we do it with PyTorch 2.0, the only thing we're changing is adding that torch compile equals true parameter, goes from 26 hours to 16 hours. Is that crazy or what? Crazy or what? Type crazy in the chat. It's just so crazy and exciting that we can have that capability. Now let's take a look at some of the results. And here's one question that Thomas does in the example. He says, let me ask you, if I'm starting a technology company with a friend, what type of legal documents do we fill in to clarify ownership? Well, the output for Better Call Bloom is you need to get a business attorney to draft a business agreement. Okay. Whereas Vanilla Bloom, without tuning that to the law example, just generic Bloom, says the startup is a limited liability company. Startup is owned. It's kind of some information, a little bit of gibberish, definitely longer of an example that we're doing. So that is one example on what to do. Now, if you want to play around with this, this is really cool about Hugging Faces, is it gives you the ability to deploy these things to, it gives you the ability to deploy these things so you can try it and also use different CPUs and GPUs. We're going to go back to the browser here and go to, they'll throw a link to this, to the Hugging Face Spaces on this. This is the actual application that Thomas has, and it's running on a CPU right now, so it's very, very slow. In fact, if you buy him a cup of coffee, that'll help him upgrade to GPU. That's up to you. But you can go in here and play around with it. I tried this example that says, I got 5 jaywalking tickets. Should I pay them or hire an attorney? I actually got a jaywalking ticket once. I didn't think it was a real thing until I got one in Santa Clara. The cop was like on this motorcycle hidden behind a bush, and man, he just like was waiting for me. But anyways, I got 5 jaywalking tickets. Should I pay them? And we submitted this, and it's going to take a while to run, but I actually just erased it, and the response was that I should hire an attorney. I guess at 5 jaywalking tickets, I should hire one. When I tried this with just 1 jaywalking ticket, it told me to just pay it. Very cool, very interesting. So go on there. You can play with this and experiment on your own. All right, so next, let's go back to the slides. All right, so this is just telling you what we just did on Hugging Face Spaces. I just wanted to throw this out to you. This came out just very recently. This is a survey paper of large language models. Okay, so there's the link for you. Check that out. I thought this was very interesting because they broke down all the different large language models by quarter, right? This is how fast AI is moving these days. And they also highlighted ones that are publicly available. So when you go and explore this and look at fine-tuning LLMs on your own, this is a good resource to maybe pick and choose some models to explore. All right, boom. So we're rolling right along. I told you we're going to move fast. This is the last section here where we talk about building AI with AI. this is incredible. Like, this is a huge opportunity for us as developers and creators of artificial intelligence applications, right? We can generate code, create data sets, secure code, test and debug, write documentation, build user interfaces. There's so many things that we can do. We saw with ChatGPT and the BARD examples how fast it was to write examples and change those examples. There's a bunch of other tools like Code Whisperer, GitHub Copilot, newer tools like Code Parrot, which helps you test APIs. So many tools that are coming out that can help. So I want you to start thinking about that as a developer, where you start thinking about how you develop, what you do, and how you can do it faster. Ask yourself the question, how do I do this faster? Okay, how do I debug faster? How do I generate code? Let's show this in action. What we're going to do next is we're going to use AI tools to create a data set. Now, in the Better Call Bloom example, we had a legal data set that was available to us. But let's say we want to create a large language model that is not, we don't have a data set for. We need to create that. So here we're going to create something called the AI Superstar Q&A LLM. And we're going to do that in Hugging Face. I do want to point out one thing before we go on. The previous example with Better Call Bloom, that was a very specific application. So I don't want you to think that you can just take that and throw, that's not like something you would go to a company and like use their data set and like throw ChatGPT on top of it kind of thing for them. It's a very, very specific example. There are sophisticated methods that just came out where you can actually do that if you want to. And I would look to FourthBrain is coming out with some really cool training coming up soon, where they're doing that and explaining how to fine-tune not only the structure of the model, but also use indexing to create a general model based on new information. All right, so in this example, we are going to train a AI Superstar data set. Let's go back to the browser here. And I'm just going to ask ChatGPT, create a data set with questions and answers related to becoming an AI superstar in CSV format. Okay. You'll discover, as you are aware of these tools, that there are limitations. And that's part of the whole process. Is if I could give you one piece of advice, I would say start using tools right away, because you're going to see a lot of results, but you're going to also understand the capabilities. And when companies or organizations or your team, your boss reach out to you and they want to understand these things, the questions they're going to ask is, what can you do and what can't you do? So it's important to start using them. We can't just create files just yet with ChatGPT, but we could do it in CSV format. So let's try that out. Oh, something went wrong. Okay, maybe let's reset that. All right, it's not a demo until something goes wrong, right, guys? All right, so let's try that again, and here we go. Okay, so it is now creating a data set in CSV format. We could see, here's a question: what skills are required to become an AI superstar? Skills required so far. We could slide this here. So now if we do this over and over, we can copy and paste this and create a data set. And here we have one. One of the FourthBrain instructors, Chris, was awesome in helping us put this together. He took the outputs from ChatGPT that we created a data set and put it into the Hugging Face data set format. So you could actually start using this right away. It's not a huge data set, but it will give you enough to start doing some fine tuning of LLMs. So here's the site. Team, throw the link in the chat there. And here, we have this data set. So you can take a look around, explore this, right? Which programming languages should I learn? Right? It gives you some of these questions so that you can build this tool. All right, if you want to try this out, you can go to the spaces here. So here, Chris had trained the model, through the process, a process that we're using here that he's going to be covering in upcoming class. We don't really have a whole lot of time to cover it here, but it's a similar process that what we're using with Better Call Bloom, just more sophisticated. And here you can actually try this. So you can type in questions like, what course should I take to learn AI, and see what comes up, right? So it may take a little bit of a while. He's running this on a T4, which is pretty good GPU. So you can try this out, and here's what it says. To learn AI, you should take a course like Machine Learning with TensorFlow or Introduction to PyTorch, which are offered at many AI colleges and universities. Okay, kind of generic. Wasn't a huge data set, so it's pretty impressive how this works so fast. Okay, going back to the slides. All right, so we talked about here's how you build the data set, here's how you put it on Hugging Face. Let's talk about the process that Chris used to retrain the LLM here, the AI superstar. We have a Better Call Bloom. We have the data set. We talked about that. We have the Bloom 3B model for 3 billion parameters. With fine tuning, it took about 16 hours for us to train or fine tune that model using PyTorch 2.0. With Chris's example with AI Superstar, he is actually fine-tuning this in just under 10 minutes. So I know some of the folks, I was catching the chat there, people were saying, wow, 16 hours, that's too slow. It's nuts doing this. And, so here, 10 minutes, much smaller data set. He's using parameter efficient fine-tuning with low rank adaptation per Flora. We're not going to go into the details on that, but understand that he's not exactly using the same process that Thomas is using in the other example. Okay, let's move on. So here's a couple of other questions that we plugged into this application. And so one question, how do I gain mastery in AI? To gain mastery in AI, you should practice solving real-world problems from experts, participate, and improve your coding skills. Okay, pretty neat that the LLM can produce results like this. There's a picture of Chris there. Find him one of his courses or YouTube on FourthBrain. He's an awesome guy to go and connect with. Another question is, how can I improve chances of getting a good job in AI, right? So here are some of the things that were spit out from our AI superstar large language model. You should have a solid portfolio of projects that showcase your skills and experience. You should also network with other AI professionals. Again, connection. Go into your office, meet somebody new, go to a networking event, meet somebody new, ask them what they're doing. What are they doing that's interesting? What are they learning? How did they get here in their career? Attend industry events, prepare for technical interviews by practicing coding. So there you have it. This is how you build a large language model, or more correctly, fine-tune a large language model like Bloom 3B. So you can do whatever you want to do. The sky is the limit. So I encourage you to go out there and apply this to putting this into play. Come up with an idea. Get a bunch of your friends that are interested in this together. Put a project together and start coding this. This is how you learn. Using PyTorch 2.0, you can speed things up. using AI tools, that's where the biggest gains come in. All right. So if you think that you've learned something and that this presentation has been a lot of value, please type value in the chat. And what we're going to do here is just jump in. We're talking about, what should you learn next? And those 3 topics guaranteed that we talked about today: PyTorch 2.0, fine-tuning large language models, and also building AI with AI. Awesome. All of you are like phenomenal. I'm looking at the chat. It's interesting when you do these things is I have the chat roll here. I'm looking at this. I'm seeing what you guys are saying, guys and gals are saying, and you're just playing full out. It's amazing. I've worked with, Fortune 100 companies, really, really smart people on my teams, PhDs, super smart interns, and you're just like 100% on top of things. Super smart group here. So excited. We are going to, I just want to thank you for having me on the presentation. And when I came on here, I asked my team, what can we do for everybody who's taken time out of their schedule to join us for an hour here, to learn something, to work on themselves and their own personal development. I applaud you for that. That is an important philosophy and skill to have, is to always improve yourself so that we can have a better life, right? And you deserve a better life. So kudos for you to come here. It's been such a gift for me to be able to join you here on this event and share this information with you. I want to give a gift to every attendee here. And this is something that we do at TruVersity. It's AI Superstar Training. My team and I put this workshop together, this training. It's 3 hours long. The next one is on May 31st. It's intensive training on how to use AI tools to create AI. And if you'd like to join me there, here's the deal. This is something I'm only doing for 24 hours because it's just, I want to share it with you. But I also want people that get results, that take action, and are going to start implementing this in their lives and take their career to a whole new level. So if you want to join within 24 hours, go to truversity.com/gift. We're going to take some Q&A in just a bit, but Greg will also tell you how to get some free copies of the books, PyTorch Pocket Reference and Fundamentals of Deep Learning. O'Reilly has donated a bunch of books, of ebook copies of each one, DRM-free ebooks. So they'll tell you how to get that. You fill out a survey and you'll be eligible for that. Last thing I want to tell you before we jump into Q&A is reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear what you're working on. If there's anything in this presentation that you have questions that you didn't get answered, right? If you're finding a hard time accessing code or something, please reach out to me there. My team is ready to go. We knew we were going to be jumping on with all of you today. So please reach out to me. Let me know what you think. And I hope to see you someday at another event. Keep rocking. Let's jump into some Q&A and see what questions you guys have.
Thank you for that presentation, Joe. And thank you all for sharing. Let's open up the floor for questions from our audience right now. First, top of the list, Marcelo asks, is there any practical way to measure the confidence of the model in the output being correct, or the likelihood of the output of the model being a hallucination? What are the sort of ways that you think about measuring your confidence in the models that you fine-tune on LLMs, Joe?
Marcelo, great question. Awesome. So, I mean, from a development point of view, I would say always test small first. Always test small first and see what kind of results you're getting. Now, this is an important concept in development and business, is you want to learn fast and cheap. Learn fast and cheap. So try it with a small, level of effort, and just as a human, look and see what kind of results you're getting. Now, this is something that's difficult to measure objectively, because how do you measure that? You need to come up with a score that's going to say, well, how does this output look legit or not? And that's another a whole nother field which is being developed right now. Greg, do you have any additional insights here?
Yeah, I think that's an amazing question, Marcelo. It's something that we've actually been discussing a lot in our courses at FourthBrain, this idea of validation frameworks for LLMs. It's very nuanced. It's a very detailed and interesting question. And it's definitely one, stay tuned. We're going to be holding some community sessions at FourthBrain to discuss really interesting topics exactly like these that are emerging in real time in 2023. So yeah, fantastic question. Love to see this one highly, highly upvoted. The short answer is there is no like golden way standard of doing this for any given application. The answer is, of course, it depends. And there's so many things LLMs can do that you kind of have to go and dig into each piece of the nuanced framework. So let's go to the next question, Joe. How can we take an open source LLM and chat model and fine tune it with internal data? What are the pitfalls that we should consider when doing this fine tuning?
Great question. Great question. So, what I would have to say about this is that, first of all, don't go doing this in a vacuum, right? You want to check with your leadership. You want to make sure you're not doing something that's going to get you in trouble here when you're working with internal data and using tools. Certainly, obviously, using cloud-based tuning examples, even on something like Hugging Faces, you want to make sure before you go and do anything that it's okay to do this as well. So those are some of the pitfalls to look for. Is basically be safe about it. This is a really good example to where you would want to train things internally. Like if you have your own server, GPU servers, or even just the GPU desktop, and you're going to experiment a little bit, is keep it self-contained. If even possible, I wouldn't even connect it to the internet, but I would use it there.
Okay. So you're saying that the pitfalls when you're fine-tuning data are, associated with sort of the way the business is running most of the time. That's what you're seeing in your field.
Yeah, absolutely. I work, in environments, the Department of Defense, other environments where it's a secure environment. There's no internet connection. Like you get a computer, you put it on your desktop. Like there's high secure reasons why things are done that way. We're at an interesting time now because companies are trying to figure out, like, do I let employees access ChatGPT or not? And usually a lot of executives do is they'll just say shut it down, like unless there's a reason why put ourselves at a risk. So unfortunately people don't get access to it that way. But for those of them that do open it up, is you do want to be careful what you're doing. You don't want internal data to get out in the world, especially if you're in fields like healthcare, legal, financial. Like there's laws against this. So you need, as a developer, sometimes we don't always get involved in the legal aspects, but I would always check and keep it very self-contained.
Okay. Interesting. So next question from Anonymous. How can I teach the model the context of my domain? For example, given question A, it should give answer from document B, or in document C from a particular section.
Oh boy. Okay. So thanks for the easy question there, Anonymous. This is a great question. How do I teach the model the context? Given question A, it should come from document B and document C from a particular section. This sounds like a really awesome topic to do some research on, Greg. It sounds like could be another FourthBrain course. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, and I think this is a fantastic question. This basically is the question of how do I put a ChatGPT like interface on top of all of my data? This is a question we're getting so much at FourthBrain today. And the answer is not quite as simple as you might think. When we think about fine-tuning LLMs, we're actually talking in many cases about fine-tuning the structure of LLMs. And the way that you can build in structure is twofold. You can use either sort of the prompt engineering piece on the front end to teach it some examples through the prompting, or you can actually take those examples and then move them into the fine-tuning domain. Neither of these two things are actually putting the ChatGPT-like interface on top of documents. That, in fact, is what's called indexing, and that's where tools like LangChain, Llama Index, Haystack, those really come into play. And we've got a lot of more content coming soon on that type of use case as well, because we're seeing it explode in popularity all over the place. Joe, I think that about wraps up the Q&A portion of today's event. Thank you so much for the presentation and for contributing today. Thank you everyone for your participation. This event has been brought to you by deeplearning.ai, by FourthBrain, and by O'Reilly Media. Joe, in partnership with O'Reilly, will be giving away select few free books, either the O'Reilly PyTorch Pocket Reference or Fundamentals of Deep Learning. When you complete the post-event survey, you will automatically be eligible. FourthBrain is also excited to give a shout out to the winners of our Building Generative AI Applications workshops from March 2023 and April 2023. Ryan Choi, David Nagy, Dipayan Sarkar, and Brig Meacham built AI interior design, the application using Stable Diffusion. It was really cool. And a quick hat tip yesterday to Shane Jarvie, who built a SQL code generator using Bloom. And SQL's not even one of the 13 programming languages that Bloom is trained on. So that was pretty cool to see. Lastly, FourthBrain is excited to announce our next course offering, which will be a 3-week project-based experience called Building with LLMs. You will learn step-by-step from amazing instructors, just like Chris Alexiak, that got the shout out today, and from First Principles, everything that you need to know related to prompting, to fine-tuning, and beyond with LLMs. You'll learn important and emerging tools like LangChain for indexing your own personal data or your company's data, and you'll learn how to generate synthetic training data with ChatGPT. You'll build, deploy, and share 3 different generative AI applications in just 3 weeks, starting on May 16th. Deep Learning AI is also going to send out a follow-up email with a survey for all of our attendees today. We'd love to hear all of your feedback, the good, the bad, and everything in between. We love improving these events for all of you out there. A select 100 attendees will receive a promo code for 50% off a 1-month subscription to any of the deeplearning.ai courses on Coursera. Big thank you once again to Joe and to all of you joining us. We'll see you next time. Until then, keep learning.